offensive that has been slow and extremely costly, there have been some important successes and the pressure placed on the Russian units has been constant, causing significant losses. This has all been done under the threat of a Russian counterattack like the turkey shoot that continues to happen near Avdiivka. But like two punch-drunk boxers deep into the 12th round, this slogging match is fast becoming about who is left standing. Unfortunately, Ukraine's war effort has been staggered by the impact of the punch-up in Palestine taking up the airtime, and with the paralysis in American politics cutting off the much-needed support. With these two things hanging over their ability to fight, it's important that their offensive starts to see larger gains in preparation for the winter. With that in mind, Ukraine has decided to move across the Dnipro in the Kherson region. Previously, troops have made a number of small raids across the river, but the latest reported advance appears to be an attempt to expand the area under their control in anticipation of a larger cross-river operation, something there has been clear evidence of them training for in the past. In its report on Thursday morning, the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine said Russia had carried out airstrikes on Dnipro, which is 14 kilometers east of Kherson city. This also came off the back of reports that company-sized units of two Ukrainian naval infantry brigades conducted an assault across the Dnipro River onto the east bank on the 17th of October and then advanced north of Dnipro and into Poima. Russian mill blogger, Wargonzo, claimed that Russian forces pushed Ukrainian forces back from these positions after a small skirmish, thus indirectly confirming their presence and the penetration of that area. The mill blogger further claimed that a Ukrainian sabotage group is still operating in Dnipro as of the afternoon of October 18. The same ginger-haired idiot also claimed that these troops had been trained in the United Kingdom, but that point remains unconfirmed and frankly irrelevant. But it would make sense, especially given the evidence that Ukrainian troops have been trained by the Royal Marine Commandos in waterborne operations. As a side note, if I was asked to pick a unit from anywhere in the world to conduct a large unit-size waterborne attack, I would always pick the Royal Marine Commandos, so they are great teachers. In its report on Wednesday evening, the Russian MOD said their troops had taken out 4 Ukrainian sabotage and reconnaissance groups in Poima and the nearby village of Podstepny. Expectedly, they claim that, overall, Ukraine's offensive in the Kherson region is failing. Although it's unlikely it's even happened yet, and I would expect all of this to be nothing more than shaping attacks at this stage. Russian concerns about the ability of their forces to repel a potential operation across the river may be partially connected to the condition of the Russian grouping of forces on the left bank. You see, rather understandably, Russian command has drawn elite units from the Kherson direction to support defensive operations in Zaporizhia Oblast where the pressure has been heavy. Fortunately for Ukraine, that has left the Kherson region rather badly manned and frankly vulnerable. Despite all of this, the 810th Russian Naval Infantry Brigade has been diverted to the Kherson region, but this is the very same unit that was rendered combat ineffective as of September 22. So, it's chock full of replacements and unlikely to be as effective as the name might suggest. Whilst this is happening, Ukraine keeps pushing, poking, and prodding, south of Robotny and south of Bakhmut. This will effectively become a third axis of attack and put more pressure on the already stretched Russians. While this is happening, the Russians are losing valuable reserves around Avdiivka and in their push towards Lyansk, men that could be used to ground out the defensive action needed to stop the Ukrainian push. Throw in the use of attacks to pummel their rear areas and you have a very difficult time for the Russians. But will it be enough? Despite my most fervent hopes, I believe we need to be realistic. Ukrainian losses remain heavy, both in men and machines. What's more, I think we can all agree the donations are going to dry up at some point. So, we are reaching a point where the attritional aspect of offensive action needs to be measured against the expectation of success and the onset of winter. Is it time to settle down into defensive positions, conserve strength, and prepare for new offensive actions in the spring? What do you think? Let me know.